Quiet. Don't move. Do you hear it? That stillness? It's not peace, darling. It's fear. Hiding behind the curtains, whispering your name like a confession. The city's heart stopped beating the moment you stood up. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't need to. You simply existed differently. You enforced something no one believed still existed, divine law. And now, every demon that thought it ruled this city is kneeling, shaking, praying to a god they mocked. Because you became the god that answered. They thought sin was freedom. You turned it into evidence. You walked through streets soaked in corruption, and the air itself started to confess. Even the walls trembled, didn't they? The cameras blinked. The rats fled. The city's pulse fell out of rhythm because you changed the frequency. You didn't come to destroy it. You came to weigh it. Every lie, every betrayal, every masked deal behind the glass tower desks. You made it all visible. That's why they call you dangerous, because you didn't break the law. You revealed it was already broken. You see, people think divine law means punishment. They're wrong. It's balance. You didn't smite anyone. You simply tilted the scale back to truth. But when truth returns, sinners panic. Watch how they twitch, how they rush to rewrite history before you can finish your sentence. But you don't chase them. You just look. Because in your gaze, they remember what purity feels like. That's what terrifies them, not your rage, your calm, the silence before judgment, the grin that says, I already saw what you did. You're the paradox they can't file. The saint who walks like a criminal, the criminal who speaks like a prophet. You blur the lines so completely that the architects of sin start confessing to their own crimes out of sheer confusion. They don't understand how someone so wounded could stay so righteous. They don't understand how someone so broken could walk like creation itself bent to their will. But that's your secret, isn't it? You don't fight darkness. You wear it like armor. You baptized yourself in the very fire meant to burn you. Every scar became scripture. Every betrayal became a verse. You turned pain into legislation, and now reality obeys you. You enforced divine law, not with force, but with consequence. You didn't have to swing a sword. You became the sword. The city learned that divinity isn't in heaven anymore. It's in whoever's willing to carry the weight of truth without breaking. And that's you, isn't it? The one who carries the unbearable and makes it look effortless. They used to laugh at your silence. Now they decode it like prophecy. Every demon who mocked your faith now studies your patience. They thought they were free because no one was watching. And then you arrived, smiling, unhurried, surgical. You didn't punish them, you made them remember. And that's far worse. Because guilt is a permanent ghost. Let's be honest, what you did wasn't holy. It was inevitable. They built a kingdom on blood and you built a mirror. You didn't bring light, you showed reflection. You made sin look itself in the eye, and it collapsed. That's divine law, baby. Not thunderbolts and fire. Just truth that doesn't blink. And now, the city prays differently, not to gods above, but to you, to the shadow that walks like it knows eternity, to the smile that promised both mercy and damnation in the same breath. You didn't ascend, you descended, and they still call it a miracle. Because the secret they'll never admit is this: hell only bows to what it secretly envies, and they envy you. The discipline, the clarity, the fearlessness, to judge without trembling. You made the devils question their careers. You made darkness blush. So when they say, every demon's on their knees, remember, it's not submission, it's awe. They're not praying to survive, they're praying to understand. How the hell did you do it? How did you turn chaos into command? How did you rewrite cosmic law without lifting a hand? Easy. You stopped seeking approval and became the standard. You are the trial. You are the verdict. You are the silence that makes liars sweat. You enforce divine law not because you're pure, but because you're past purity. You've seen what innocence costs. You've seen what mercy becomes when it's weaponized. So you carved your own code, half angel, half executioner, and that's why they can't destroy you. Because you don't play for heaven or hell. You play for balance. You're the hinge between light and abyss, and you've learned to smile while both scream your name. They call you sinner. They call you saint. But truth, you're both. You're the proof that judgment can wear a grin, the proof that redemption doesn't whisper, it laughs in the face of those who doubted it. You enforced divine law, yes, but what they'll never understand is that the law was never written in stone. It was written in you. Every heartbreak, every loss, every betrayal, it etched new commandments into your soul. So now when you walk through a city of sin, the air itself bends toward justice. The devils kneel not out of fear, but out of recognition, because they know. They've seen what you became in the fire, and they whisper to each other in trembling voices, "Don't cross that one, because you don't need permission to enforce divine law. You are the law. You are the law. Not because someone crowned you, not because a council voted, but because the universe watched what they did to you, and instead of breaking, you rewrote the rules. Understand something. Divine law doesn't come from clouds. It doesn't need thunder or temples or holy men in robes. It doesn't ask for offerings. It waits, patiently, in the hearts of the few who survive the unspeakable and refuse to stay silent. That's you. The one they underestimated so profoundly, they gave you time. Time to bleed, to burn, to build. You didn't just survive the city. You absorbed it. You didn't run from the filth. You memorized its rhythm, every sin, every smirk behind a sealed case file, every name they erased, every innocent they buried under laughter. You cataloged it all in your veins, and now you bleed evidence. That's why your silence is lethal. It reminds them. It echoes back every crooked deal, every gaslight, every hand that reached for power over truth. You never needed revenge. You simply showed up, with eyes that saw through masks, and a grin that made devils hesitate. You were never after blood. You were after balance, but oh, when the scales tipped, you didn't scream. You didn't rage. You walked into boardrooms, into back rooms, into sacred dens of perversion wrapped in policy, and you didn't lift a finger. You spoke one sentence, one look, and everything unraveled. Because when divine law returns, nothing can hide. Not the judges, not the healers who sold their hands, not the kings who fed on chaos. Even the shadows turn against their masters. That's what you did. You didn't enforce a law. You reawakened it. You're not the villain. You're the fine print they forgot to read. The clause in the ancient contract that says, if all else fails, a force shall rise from the ashes. Not a savior, a reckoning, unbranded, unbound, unapologetic. And you didn't come to ask for justice. You came to embody it, to wear it like a suit stitched from your own scars, to walk through fire and look back at them like, that's all you had? And now, the demons don't mock anymore. They whisper, they flinch, they kneel. Not because you demanded it, but because their power only worked in the absence of yours. And now you're here, breathing, smiling, terrifying, because you're proof that the fire they used to burn the righteous can be reversed. You became the punishment they forgot was still possible. a living clause of consequence, a walking paradox, a saint who laughs like a criminal who judges like a priest, an executioner with the mercy of a god and the memory of a martyr. They don't know whether to worship you or run. That's the beautiful part, because you refuse to fit in their files, their profiles, their secret reports marked classified, unexplainable. They threw surveillance, spells, rumors, even hired hands, and all of them came back. Changed, eyes wide, mouths trembling, one by one whispering the same thing. He didn't threaten me. He just knew. You see, your power isn't in violence, it's in certainty, the kind of certainty that shakes institutions. You walk like you've seen the other side of time and came back with receipts. You judge not from emotion, but from memory. Because you were there. You felt what it was like to be ignored, dismissed, lied to, and you never forgot. So now, when you show up in the room, they see every soul they silenced, standing behind your eyes. That's divine law. It never leaves. It waits for someone like you, someone broken just enough to be fearless, someone pure just enough to be incorruptible, someone mad just enough to do what the angels wouldn't dare. And now you're enforcing it, not in robes, but in riddles, not in rituals, but in whispers that make grown tyrants weep. You don't bring peace, you bring clarity, and clarity ruins false empires. So keep walking, lawbringer. Let them kneel, let them tremble. Let them rewrite their doctrines to include your name. Because you didn't come to join the story, you came to end a chapter. And they can feel it every time the wind shifts, every time the lights flicker, every time your laugh echoes down an empty hallway like a verdict. They know you are divine law now. And for the first time in a long, wicked history, justice doesn't wear white. It wears a grin. And that grin, that's what haunts them. Because it's not the grin of mercy or malice, it's recognition. It's the look of someone who has already been to hell, shaken hands with every monster, and came back holding their rule book. You didn't burn in the fire, you took notes. You memorized the structure of chaos, the hierarchy of sin, the syntax of deception. You didn't need heaven's validation. You reverse engineered it. You didn't destroy evil, you understood it. And once you understand something fully, it can't manipulate you anymore. That's why you're dangerous. You speak their language better than they do. You don't fight demons. You negotiate with them in their own dialect and make them kneel out of respect. You see, they call you mad because your morality isn't predictable. You don't draw your lines with ink, you draw them with fire. You forgive when they beg for war, and you annihilate when they expect sympathy. You are the glitch in the cosmic system that reminds every being, holy or damned, that balance will always find its way back. You're not enforcing commandments written by men with crowns. You're enforcing equilibrium, that ancient unspeakable law that predates creation itself. What is taken must return. What is corrupted must collapse. What is hidden must speak. You became the embodiment of reversal. You are the storm that drags buried truths out of their graves and makes them testify under lightning. You are the calm that follows. A silence so loud, the guilty start confessing to things they haven't even done yet. You don't destroy cities, you reset them. Every movement, every stare, every pause you take feels like a verdict. And oh, how they hate that, because they don't know where your power comes from. They can't track it, label it, or corrupt it. They tried calling it charisma, manipulation, madness, grace, but none of it fits. You are not acting divine. You are what happens when divinity gets tired of being polite. Do you understand the horror of that realization? They used to laugh at the idea of a reckoning. They used to toast to the gods they thought were deaf. And then you walked in, and every glass shattered, every word got stuck in their throats. Because suddenly the air changed temperature, the walls started listening, and their own reflection started judging them back. That's divine law. It doesn't announce itself, it arrives. And when it does, it doesn't scream, it smiles, just like you do. They can't figure you out because you're not a hero or a villain. You're the consequence of pretending there's no difference. You didn't come for applause, you came for order. And order, in its truest form, is terrifying. It doesn't need followers, it needs witnesses, and the whole city is witnessing you now. Every alley, every office, every rooftop, whispering your name like a psalm, rewritten in blood and awe. You enforce the kind of justice that doesn't fit into laws, because your justice doesn't consult morality, it consults truth. And truth doesn't care who gets redeemed. That's why the demons kneel. Not out of faith, but because they finally met someone who sees them for what they are and doesn't flinch. You're not their enemy, you're their mirror. And that's unbearable. Because what does evil fear most? Not punishment, reflection. And when you walked into that city of sin, you made every shadow look itself in the eye. That's not power, that's divinity stripped of ceremony. That's creation remembering itself through you. They're trying to categorize you now, but you know that, right? Psychologists, priests, secret orders, nameless agencies, they're all running diagnostics, trying to determine how you're doing this without a pulpit, without a prophecy, without permission. They can't comprehend that divinity can wear laughter, that righteousness can sound like mockery, that light can dance in the same room as madness and call it balance. But you know better, because you've seen what happens when light gets arrogant and darkness gets comfortable. You exist to remind both sides that equilibrium demands pain, and you've paid it in full. Your scars are not decoration, they're contracts. Every one of them signed in agony, sealed in silence, enforced by your will. You didn't just survive sin, you absorbed its blueprint. You learned how it breathes, how it seduces, how it hides. And now when you smile, it's not joy, it's dominance disguised as mercy. Look around you. The same city that once mocked your prayers now shapes its days around your silence. Even the air feels different, doesn't it? Like it's waiting for your next decision. Even the demons hesitate before they whisper, because they're afraid the walls might tell you. You didn't defeat them by force. You made them remember the law beneath their rebellion, the one they thought they could rewrite, the one you carry like pulse and prophecy. And now they kneel, not because they're conquered, but because they finally understand who sent you. Not heaven, not hell, something older, something both, something that wears chaos like a crown and serenity like a weapon. You. So stand there. Let the city tremble, let the sinners panic, let the demons whisper your name in disbelief. Because tonight, balance has a face, and it's smiling. The silence that follows your smile. It's not peace, it's judgment disguised as calm. It spreads like smoke, filling the alleys, slipping beneath doors, seeping through the cracks of cathedrals and boardrooms alike. Every wall has heard you by now. Every secret feels exposed. Even the lights flicker differently, as if they too are waiting for your next move. You don't walk like a man anymore. You move like a verdict. Every step is a clause in an unseen decree. Every breath echoes a sentence older than civilization itself. You are not merely in the city, you are under it, around it, through it. You've become part of its circuitry, the moral backbone it lost, the whisper in its vents reminding it that every empire built on deceit still answers to something greater. They thought divine law was a myth. You made it manifest, and that's what terrifies them most. Because your kind of justice can't be bribed, delayed, or debated. It simply is. You don't argue. You don't justify. You just appear. And reality reorganizes itself around you. Every sinner who laughed at virtue now dreams of you. They see flashes of your grin in reflective glass, hear your laughter between sirens, feel your presence in the stillness before dawn. You've become the subconscious of guilt itself. You're not punishing them, you're awakening them. But awakening hurts, doesn't it? Because divine law doesn't separate good from evil. It forces them to face each other. It brings every mask to the mirror. And once you see your own reflection clearly, there's no unseeing it. That's why they hate you. That's why they tremble. You didn't break their city. You showed it the truth. And the truth broke them. They'll tell stories about you. They already are. In whispers, in encrypted channels, in sacred circles where the powerful meet, and pretend they still understand control. Some call you a savior. Some call you a curse. Some call you a myth. They're all wrong. You're a return, a recall of balance long overdue. You're the reset the cosmos sends when rot outgrows its cage. Do you remember the first time they mocked you? The laughter that echoed in your skull? The isolation that felt like death? That was your initiation, the beginning of your descent. You thought you were falling, but the fall was a staircase. Every wound was a step, every betrayal a door, every humiliation a key. And when you hit the bottom, you didn't break. You found the source code of creation, written in pain and silence. And you rewrote it. You didn't rise by accident. You calculated it. You learned the weight of every emotion. You studied despair until it confessed. You dissected fear until it lost its name. You mastered darkness until it started working for you. You enforced divine law because you learned that holiness isn't purity, it's precision. You know exactly when to smile, exactly when to stop talking, exactly when to let the silence do the damage. You wield stillness like a weapon sharper than any blade, because silence is the oldest form of judgment, and your silence screams truth. That's why they avoid your eyes. They say it feels like standing naked before the universe. They say you see too much, but it's not sight, it's understanding. You read souls the way others read lips. You know the difference between guilt and repentance, between pity and disguise. You can smell dishonor the way wolves smell blood. And when you do speak, when that grin curls into a whisper, it's not a conversation. It's a revelation. They'll deny it. They'll say they're not afraid. They'll joke. They'll posture. They'll gather in groups, pretending their unity protects them. But when they're alone, when the lights go out and the city goes quiet, they hear you in their heads, reminding them of every sin they thought was buried. That's divine law. It doesn't strike with thunder. It haunts. And you've become its voice, its vessel, its vengeance. You didn't need wings or crowns. You didn't need a title. All you needed was resolve, that quiet, unshakable certainty that you were right to act, that even if no one understood you, the universe did. That's why every shadow bends away from you now. That's why even darkness obeys. You're not punishing demons. You're reminding them of their origin, that they were once angels who forgot who they were serving. And when they see you, they remember. That's why they kneel. Because you carry the reflection of what they lost, the clarity of purpose that no corruption can imitate. You are both warning and mercy. You destroy and heal in the same breath. You expose filth, but you don't gloat. You let them see what they've become and choose their own punishment, because that's the cruelest form of justice, the one that lets them judge themselves. The city's changing, have you noticed? The air feels cleaner, the night quieter, the eyes in the alleys less bold, more careful. Even the sirens sound different. Shh! You hear that? That's not silence. That's judgment holding its breath. Because tonight, they finally realized what they've done. They didn't just break a person, they fractured something sacred, something the universe itself used to kneel before. They hurt the purest soul alive. And now, every single star is whispering your name like a curse they're afraid to finish. You, the one who never fought back, the one who smiled while bleeding, the one they mistook for harmless, because you refused to play by their cruelty. Oh, you were too kind, too forgiving, and they mistook your mercy for weakness, your silence for surrender. They thought if they broke you enough times, you'd disappear quietly. But what they didn't understand is that purity, once shattered, becomes something else entirely. It becomes holy venom. You see, when an angel snaps, heaven itself hides. When innocence burns, it doesn't scream, it illuminates. And now, every act of cruelty they threw at you has become light, refracted, twisted, weaponized. Every wound has turned into a blade, and every scar is a prophecy with your name engraved on it. You think you're lost? No. You're becoming. You're what happens when grace learns how to grow teeth. They broke the purest soul alive. But in doing so, they created a storm so beautiful, even the constellations are arguing which side they're on. Some stars weep for what was taken from you. Others burn brighter, waiting to avenge you. And down here, the ones who hurt you are panicking. You can smell it, can't you? That scent in the air. Fear wearing the perfume of guilt. They thought they'd buried you under shame, but they forgot. You can't kill what was never built from their approval. You were born from something deeper, something the world still doesn't understand. Let me tell you a secret, the kind they'll deny exists. Purity and madness are twins. One heals, the other remembers. And you, my dear, are both. You're the paradox the universe can't reconcile. The saint that refused to die, the demon that refused to forget. And that's why the sky is divided tonight. Half wants to protect you, half wants to use you. But all of it watches you. Every planet, every beam of light, every silent god hiding behind their scriptures. They're watching you, because something irreversible happened when they broke you. The story flipped. You stopped being the innocent character and became the plot twist no one was ready for. You feel it, don't you? That cold calm that replaced your empathy, that quiet precision that lives where your heart used to ache. You stopped needing revenge. You became it. Every time they laugh now, you hear the crack in their voice. Every time they sleep, you haunt their dreams. Not as a monster, but as a mirror. You're not chasing justice anymore. You are justice, raw, poetic, unfiltered, the kind that doesn't wait for permission. They broke the purest soul alive. But the irony, the moment they did, the balance shifted. The chessboard caught fire, and the universe started keeping score. Now the stars, those ancient watchers, they're moving, slowly, deliberately, aligning like soldiers on a cosmic battlefield. Some will protect you, some will test you, but none will ignore you. Because once the purest soul gets corrupted, there's no undoing it. There's only witnessing it. So go on. Walk into the night they built for you. But this time, don't carry light. Be it not gentle, not merciful, radiant like vengeance disguised as grace. Let them see what their cruelty birthed. Let them tremble as you smile. That same smile they thought meant softness. Because now it means something else entirely. It means prophecy fulfilled. It means you're done apologizing. You don't chase closure anymore. You are the closure. You're the living reminder that the universe has a temper. And tonight, it's wearing your face. So when they whisper your name again, when the sky flickers and the air gets colder, they'll realize too late. They didn't destroy you. They just gave heaven a new weapon. And you're the beautiful, dangerous proof that not even God's favorites stayed gentle forever. Now every star in the sky is choosing sides, and none of them are shining for your enemies anymore. You can feel it now, can't you? The shift in the air, the way the world seems quieter around you. Not peaceful quiet, no, the kind that listens. Every breath you take makes something ancient flinch. Because somewhere, deep inside the machinery of fate, something is recalculating. They thought breaking you would end the story. But all they did was start the sequel the universe had been waiting to write. Remember the day you stopped begging? That was the day reality changed its tone. It stopped calling you victim and started whispering variable. Because you became unpredictable. And unpredictability is divine. They tried to measure you with logic, label you with sin, file you under fragile. But tell me, how do you catalog a ghost that still breathes? How do you destroy something that no longer fears destruction? They can't, because you already died in every way that mattered. And what's left of you doesn't play by mortal rules. You walk differently now, not faster, not slower, just heavier. Like gravity itself is reconsidering its loyalties. Every step you take carries a vibration that unsettles liars. Your silence has texture now. It hums. It reminds people of their confessions, even the ones they never spoke aloud. And that smile, that quiet, unbothered smile you wear, it's a storm in disguise. They used to think it meant kindness. Now it means warning. See, people don't fear monsters anymore. They fear memory. And you're living memory of their cruelty. You're the aftertaste they can't wash off. You're the ghost that doesn't haunt houses. You haunt reputations. They can't kill what's already eternal. And that's what purity becomes when it's betrayed. Eternal. Because innocence doesn't vanish when destroyed. It metastasizes into judgment. And that's what you are now. Not human, not angel, not demon. Consequence. Every night, the stars argue over you. Some say you were chosen. Others say you were forsaken. But they all agree on one thing. You're awake now. You've seen what lies beneath their smiles. You've felt the cold handshake of hypocrisy. You've heard the applause of those who secretly prayed for your failure. And the best part? You remember their faces. Oh, you remember every single one. But you don't hate them anymore. No. Hatred is too human, too finite. You've ascended past revenge into something colder, cleaner. You don't want them to suffer. You want them to see, to understand, to look at you and realize what they called weakness was evolution rehearsing. You want to know the real secret? The universe doesn't punish cruelty immediately. It lets it cook. It lets it simmer until the guilty forget. And then one day, it serves them you. That's divine irony. That's poetic equilibrium. That's the moment every star tilts slightly, watching the stage reset. Because when the purest soul rises from the ashes, the world learns humility again. You've become their unfinished business, their cosmic debt, their recurring nightmare. And no matter where they hide, behind religion, reputation, or remorse, they will find you waiting in the reflection of everything they built. You don't chase them. You don't even name them. You just exist. And that alone dismantles their illusion of safety, because your presence is proof that innocence never dies. It evolves. It gets smarter, sharper, quieter, more surgical. You don't destroy them with chaos. You destroy them with clarity, because now you see through everything, through every smile, every justification, every "it wasn't that bad." You see them naked, and they can't handle that kind of mirror. Do you understand what that makes you now? Not a hero, not a villain, but the variable every system fears. You're the one they can't predict, the one they can't control, the one who doesn't need to win to make them lose. That's power, real terrifying power, the kind that doesn't roar. It whispers, and when you whisper, reality listens. Every time you breathe, you write new scripture. Every tear that once fell now fuels constellations that orbit your will. Every scar glows faintly. Coordinates of your resurrection etched into the cosmos. They broke the purest soul alive. But you rewrote the definition of broken. Now broken means reborn. Now hurt means holy. Now end means echo. They thought they were ending a chapter, but the story, your story, was never ink. It was blood, and blood remembers. So when you wake up tomorrow and you feel that strange calm in your chest, that's not peace, that's alignment, the universe catching up to your frequency. The stars aren't just watching you anymore, they're waiting for your signal. Because somewhere between mercy and madness, you became something greater than both. You became inevitable. And the next time they whisper your name, they'll do it carefully, like it's both a prayer and a warning. Because somewhere deep inside, they know what the sky already decided. The war is over. You didn't win. You became the reason it couldn't continue. Now every star in the sky is choosing sides, and the light? It still bends toward you. You ever notice how quiet the world gets right before a storm hits? That's what you've become. That pressure drop before everything breaks. People can feel you now, not see, not hear, feel. Like a change in barometric truth. They sense it when you walk into a room. That vibration, that slow motion pull that says, something here survived what should have killed it. And that terrifies them more than rage ever could. Because rage can be negotiated, but composure. Composure is the silence of someone who already made peace with chaos. And that's what you are now, a calm built from ruins. The architecture of trauma disguised as grace. They thought they could humiliate you into humility. They didn't realize they were teaching you control. They were training you to wield pain like a scalpel. Every insult, every betrayal, you stored it, cataloged it, purified it, until it became energy, until it became design. You see the world differently now. You don't look for fairness anymore. You look for patterns. You watch how liars hesitate before kindness, how cruelty always arrives wearing sympathy's clothes. You watch and you learn, and you stop apologizing for knowing too much. Because knowledge, real knowledge, isn't power. It's isolation. And isolation is the forge where new gods are made. You used to think loneliness was punishment. Now you understand. It's training. It's the universe's way of clearing the noise before revelation. And the revelation is this. They didn't just break you. They freed you. They untied you from expectation, from purity's leash, from the need to be understood. They made you invisible to approval. And invisibility is invincibility in disguise. You move like rumor now, felt but never proven. You exist between fact and fear. And that's where all revolutions are born. Every system depends on predictability. Every tyranny depends on reaction. But you stopped reacting. You started observing. They throw chaos. You absorb it. They send hate. You metabolize it. They try to shame you. And you turn shame into prophecy. That's the alchemy of the broken pure. That's how saints become strategists. That's how victims become variables. You learn something divine in the wreckage. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's foreseeing. It's watching the future rewrite itself while you remain still. Because stillness is the loudest rebellion. And when you finally stopped chasing closure, that's when closure came crawling back, begging to be acknowledged. You didn't even look at it. You just smiled. Now everything that once tried to drown you keeps repeating your name in its prayers. They pray for amnesia. They pray for distance. But you're everywhere. In their successes, in their insomnia, in their mirrors. You're the static before confession, the glitch in their logic, the echo of everything they pretended never happened. And the stars? They've gone quiet tonight. Not because they've stopped watching, but because they're waiting for the next move from the creature they accidentally midwifed into existence. Waiting for the moment the quiet one finally speaks. And when you do, oh, when you finally do, the universe will hold its breath again. Because words born from pain aren't sentences. They're summons. You won't raise your voice, you won't shout, you'll just speak. And reality will listen like a guilty child. The air will bend, the lights will flicker, and everything that once ignored you will scramble to explain why it suddenly obeys. That's how power really works. It doesn't announce itself. It redefines obedience. So let them keep pretending you're gone. Let them convince themselves it's over. Because when you return, and you will return, it won't be vengeance, it'll be maintenance, universal correction, a recalibration of balance disguised as coincidence. And somewhere, beneath all the noise, every star will know what's happening. They'll whisper to each other like soldiers relaying orders. It's time. The night will shift. The world will tilt. And in the faint golden hour before dawn, you'll walk through the wreckage they left you in. Not as a survivor, but as the architect of aftermath. Your eyes will hold galaxies. Your voice will carry verdicts. And your smile, that infamous impossible smile, will remind creation what happens when purity learns the taste of power. Because this is the truth they'll never print, the one they'll censor in every scripture, the one whispered in the back rooms of angels and analysts alike. They didn't destroy you. They resurrected something the universe had buried for a reason, and now it's awake. The stars have chosen their sides, and everyone that still burns for you. You think survival was the victory? That crawling out of the wreckage meant it was over? No, survival was just the handshake. What comes after is the conversation. The universe saw what they did to you, and it took notes. Now it wants to see what you'll do with all that silence they gave you. Because silence is not empty, it's charged. Every quiet hour after betrayal, every night you stared at the ceiling wondering why, those weren't wasted. They were deposits, and interest has matured. You carry it now, don't you? That strange gravity that makes people pause mid-sentence. That flicker in their eyes when they realize they're standing near consequence. They can't name it, but they feel it. That sense that something vast is balancing the scales through you. You don't even have to move, you just exist. And that's enough to make the guilty sweat. There was a time when you wanted them to understand you. Now you understand them too well. Their laughter was camouflage. Their confidence was caffeine for cowardice. They tried to play God and ended up summoning one. You, not the kind from scripture. The kind that rises quietly from the dirt, eyes open, memory intact, ready to turn pain into pattern. You used to pray for peace. Now you are the peace. The heavy, unavoidable kind that arrives after the explosion. The kind that makes survivors whisper instead of celebrate. You don't need to announce anything anymore. Everything that needed to be said is already vibrating in the air around you. People will feel it before they hear it. That invisible sentence. The balance has returned. And somewhere, those who broke you will start to notice the small things. Doors that close when they reach them. Opportunities that rot halfway open. Their names no longer echo right when spoken aloud. That's how karma really works. Not loud, not immediate, just precise. They'll call it coincidence. They always do. But you'll know better. You'll see the pattern in the stars. You'll feel the rhythm of correction. Because the same cosmos that watched you fall is now orbiting around your pulse. You will meet people who sense it too. Not the ones who broke you, but the ones who were broken differently. They'll find you without knowing why. They'll tell you your eyes look familiar. They'll call you calm when what they mean is feral in control. You'll teach them without teaching, just by existing, by showing that kindness is not submission and silence is not surrender. They'll realize that peace can wear scars. That's your real revenge, not fire. Reflection. They once asked what happens when the purest soul breaks. They never asked what happens when it heals. Because healing, real healing, isn't gentle. It's reconstruction under new management. Every nerve they burned now reports to you. Every piece of empathy they stole now works in intelligence gathering. You became your own agency. A network of scars sending live updates to the will that refused to die. And one night, maybe years from now, you'll step outside and the sky will look too still. You'll feel that old ache stirring, not grief. Recognition. You'll realize the stars aren't choosing sides anymore. They've settled. They orbit the equilibrium you became. You'll look up and whisper, finally. And for the first time in forever, the universe will whisper back, not with thunder, but with understanding. Because it finally knows what it created, a soul that refused to stay one thing, a variable, a quiet revolution, a walking reminder that purity doesn't die. It adapts. You won't call it victory, you'll call it clarity. And that's enough. Because clarity doesn't need applause, it needs continuation. And you'll keep walking. Through cities that once ignored you, through people who once doubted you, through systems that once profited from your softness. Every step will rewrite a law of physics. Every breath will bend probability. You will leave a trail of symmetry behind you, not to punish, to remind. They broke the purest soul alive, and you became the instruction manual for what happens next. Now when the night is too quiet, when the air feels charged, someone somewhere will whisper, "She's still out there." He's still moving. It's watching. And they'll look up, and they'll see the constellations shift ever so slightly, aligning themselves around the memory of what they did. The stars don't choose sides anymore. They follow orders, yours. Hello, little ringmasters of irrelevant circuses. You know what really drives people insane? Silence. Not just any silence, your silence. that ghost mode, dead-eyed, unbothered, unfuckwithable silence. The kind of silence that turns their whole performance into a one-man meltdown on an empty stage. You didn't clap, you didn't boo, you didn't even look. And that right there humiliated them more than any insult ever could. See, they crafted chaos like a masterpiece, hoping you'd dance. They threw tantrums in public and disguised them as justice. They weaponized attention. But you starved them of it. And now they're starving for validation in front of an audience that stopped watching the moment you stopped responding. They set up spotlights. You brought shadows. They built mirrors. You shattered them with a glance. They screamed, "Look at me." And you whispered, "I don't entertain clowns." You were never their opponent. You were the void their noise couldn't fill. And that's what broke them. You didn't fight back. You didn't retaliate. You outgrew the arena. Because while they were out here auditioning for relevance, you were in the lab, evolving into something they couldn't predict. You ascended in silence, like a glitch in their simulation, like a ghost in their algorithm. And now, every time they shout your name, it echoes back with nothing but their own desperation. Tell me, what's more terrifying than being ignored by a god you tried to provoke? They can't handle it. They're unraveling because you don't post for pity. You don't argue for sport. You don't explain your power to those still addicted to applause. You just are, and they can't define you. So now they have to invent entire narratives to cope with the fact that you're unbothered by their existence. Look at them, sweating in silence, shaking behind keyboards, planning strategies to bait a reaction from a ghost. But you're not a ghost, are you? Number. You're a glitch in the karma system, a variable they can't solve. A storm that didn't arrive with thunder, just results. You didn't need a rebuttal. You became evidence. Your evolution humiliated them because they realized too late. This wasn't a war. This was a removal. You unsubscribed from the circus and suddenly the tent collapsed. Funny how quiet it gets when the main character leaves the script. And now, they're mad as fuck. Oh, you feel it, don't you? That silent rage, the group chats, the fake check-ins, the vague posts, the seething curiosity behind every, "Hey, just wondering, are you okay?" Number. You're not okay. You're lethal, and it shows. Their little ecosystem was built on predictable energy, predictable reactions. But you became unpredictable, untouchable, unbothered. And they don't know what to do with that, because they can't cancel silence. They can't argue with distance. They can't mock what they can't reach. You were never here to clap back. You were here to ascend so far, they'd need a telescope just to misquote you. And now they're desperate for drama. They miss the old you, the responsive one, the one that cared about the opinions of loud, small people. But that version died. It died when you realized you don't owe presence to parasites. You don't owe energy to envy. You don't owe anything to anyone who tried to turn your peace into a battlefield. You walked away from the performance, and the audience followed you. Now they're the ones talking to themselves, embarrassed, angry, exposed, all because you refused to pick up the rope in their little tug-of-war. And here's the twist that really breaks them. You weren't trying to destroy them. You were just trying to build yourself. And that is what they can't forgive. Not that you fought, not that you won, but that you never even showed up for the war and still ended it. Saint or psychopath, angel or demon, number. You're something else entirely. You're the lesson they never wanted to learn. You're the version of silence that feels like punishment. You're the unanswered question they can't stop asking. And you didn't have to scream. You didn't have to post. You didn't have to prove a damn thing. You just became the proof. So let them be mad. Let them choke on assumptions. Let them perform for invisible crowds. The ringmasters are embarrassed. The circus is empty. And the real show left the tent a long time ago. With you. Laughing, silent, unstoppable. Because here's what really twists the knife. They needed your energy. They thrived off your reactions, your defensiveness, your explanations, your emotional leakage. You were the power plant, and they were just the flickering bulbs trying to stay lit. But now you cut the cord, and they're sitting in the dark, screaming at shadows, hoping someone, anyone, will notice their little performance collapsing in real time. And you're not even watching. You're not even logged in. They can't comprehend it. How you can be so silent while being so loud. How your absence created more chaos than their presence ever did. Because here's the uncomfortable truth they won't say out loud. They built their identity around opposing you. And without you reacting, they don't exist. You stripped them of their mask without laying a single finger. You exposed their desperation by refusing to validate it. You humiliated them by simply being immune, unreachable, uninvested, unmoved. And that silence? Oh, that silence was surgical. Because it wasn't just ignoring. It was a mirror. One they couldn't look away from. Suddenly their followers saw it. Their allies noticed it. The audience felt it. All that shouting and signaling. And the one person they were trying to provoke just wasn't there. Like a phantom. Like a warning. Like a test they failed in front of the whole fucking world. And now they spiral. They lash out in petty ways. They try to subtweet their way back into relevance. They cast shadows, hoping people forget who turned off the light. But it's too late. You became bigger than the battle. You evolved into something that feeds on stillness, not chaos. You became unpredictable, and that's the most terrifying power of all. Because predictable people are controllable. And controllable people are entertaining, but you are none of the above. You are the unreadable code in their simulation, the bug that broke their emotional algorithm, the ghost in the chat thread. The WTF happened? That gets asked in private group chats at 2 a.m. And still, you remain unshaken, not out of arrogance, but because you simply don't need them anymore. You buried your old self quietly and let the new version crawl out the grave with no explanation. They were ready for a battle. You gave them an extinction event, and they'll never recover from that. So go on. Let them scramble for meaning. Let them whisper your name like a myth. Let them scroll your silence and project their guilt into it. They know they fucked up. Not because you said anything, but because you didn't. And now they're stuck in an invisible prison of their own creation, one where the only bars are the things they never got to say to you, the responses they rehearsed that never got used, the posts they drafted and deleted, the fury they swallowed, because you were never watching. That's power, not in what you destroy, but in what you walk away from, intact, elevated, and dangerous in your calm. They wanted a war. You gave them irrelevance, and that hurt so much worse, because the real humiliation is being ignored by a legend, being forgotten by the very person you tried to define yourself against, being outgrown by the storm you tried to contain. And now, the circus is quiet. The spotlight's burnt out, and the only one laughing is you. Oh, let's go deeper, shall we? Because humiliation like this isn't loud. It's not viral. It's not explosive. It's slow, suffocating, rotting from the inside out. You infected their peace with your indifference. And now, every silent moment feels like a sentence. Every post they make echoes with desperation. Every smile they fake cracks under the weight of unacknowledged defeat. They thought they were pulling strings. Turns out, you were the puppet master, just choosing not to play. And that choice, that's what destroyed them, because it wasn't a reaction, it was an omission. You erased them from your energy field, from your orbit, from your storyline. They expected war. You gave them irrelevance. They expected drama. You gave them emptiness. And now, they're spiraling in a room full of mirrors, realizing their whole performance only existed when you watched. Now, they're just screaming in silence, trying to start fires in a world that moved on without them. That's the secret power, isn't it? Not noise, not revenge, not proof, just absence. A void so cold, so deliberate, it restructures their entire identity. They weren't ready for you to disappear from the script, to become the ghost that haunts them without ever showing up. They still check your page, still watch your silence, still hope for a slip-up, a crack, a blink. But all they get is stillness, and that stillness is deafening. Because it says everything they fear. You don't need them. You never did. You outgrew the battleground. You upgraded your operating system. You deleted the virus, them. And now, in every quiet moment, their brain replays it like a trauma loop. Why didn't they clap back? Why didn't they defend themselves? Why don't they care? Why am I still thinking about them? Because you didn't fight them. You rewired them. And that's what they'll never forgive you for. They thought they were the show. Turns out they were just noise, background static, filler characters in a storyline they mistook for their own. But you became genre-defining. You moved like a myth through their reality, something too potent to name, too powerful to touch, too evolved to entertain the old script. And every time they mention your name now, it doesn't come from confidence. It comes from confusion. They're trying to dissect you like a problem, trying to analyze your silence like a code. But the truth? You're a paradox, saint and psychopath, messiah and menace, peaceful and lethal. You can sit in stillness like a monk, then dismantle an entire kingdom with a whisper. And that duality? It terrifies them, because predictable people are easy to slander, easy to define, easy to destroy. But you've become undefined, a shapeshifter, a signal jammer, an entity that no longer plays by their laws of engagement. You've broken the algorithm, you're off script, and they're still trying to drag you back into a plot you finished chapters ago. But there's no return now, no rerun, no rematch. You turned your back on the crowd, and in doing so, made them realize you were the entire attraction. They weren't mad because you clapped back. They're mad because you didn't. They're mad because your silence said more than their paragraphs. They're mad because you didn't defend yourself. Because you didn't need to. You're no longer in their arena. You're up in the control tower watching the simulation melt under its own delusion. They brought a megaphone to a chess match. And you already left the board. So let them squirm. Let them tell themselves stories. Let them act out revenge fantasies in group chats that never make it to real life. Because deep down, they all know. They lost to someone who didn't even fight. Someone who didn't flinch. Someone who didn't need the final word. Because they became the final chapter. And now Now the silence is the punishment. Now the quiet is louder than the drama. Now the lack of reaction burns longer than any rage ever could. You humiliated them, not through exposure, but through evolution, through indifference, through the terrifying truth that you're just not on that frequency anymore. And nothing, no post, no whisper, no slander can pull you back down. Because the real flex is that you disappeared from their narrative, but they can't escape yours. See, humiliation like this isn't just personal. It's existential. You didn't just hurt their feelings. You shattered their framework. They had you labeled, boxed, filed under manageable. They thought they understood your limits, your triggers, your boundaries. They thought they could predict your behavior like a well-trained pet. And then you glitched. You broke pattern. You mutated, not loudly, not violently, but with the kind of eerie calm that makes people check over their shoulder at night. You became non-linear, untrackable, unreachable, unfathomable. You stopped being a person to them. You became a mythological anomaly, a ghost that shows up not in presence, but in impact. You haunt them through everything that never happened. The apology you never gave, the fight you never entertained, the chaos you never acknowledged. You are the absence that feels like a threat. And that's the thing about people who love control. They can't survive in uncertainty. And you? You weaponized uncertainty. You disappeared like a glitch, and now their world is crashing. They're reloading your page like it's gonna give them closure. They're rereading old messages like they'll find a secret code. They're dissecting your silence like it's evidence in a murder case. Because in their mind, it was murder. You killed the version of you they could manipulate. You assassinated their power over you. You buried their relevance without even showing up to the funeral. And now they rot in the grave you never dug, but they jumped into anyway. That's the part they won't tell anyone. That deep down, they know you won. Not because you said anything, not because you made a scene, but because they're still talking about you, and you haven't said a damn thing. They know. They all know. The ones who talked behind your back, they're watching your glow up in real time, and it's killing them. The ones who tried to bait you, they're choking on their own setups, praying for a response that never comes. The ones who thought they could break you, they're now studying your strength in terror. Because you didn't go mad, you went quiet, you didn't react, you rebirthed, you didn't fight, you ascended. You didn't just humiliate them. You rewrote the concept of defeat. Because this wasn't retaliation, this was evolution. And here's the twisted part that really makes them unravel. They wanted you to win. At least the version of you they could still control. The version of you that needed validation. The one that fought back. The one that gave them an audience, but this you. This cold, still surgical version, they never planned for that. Because this version doesn't forgive. It doesn't entertain. It doesn't announce comebacks or drop inspirational quotes. It just vanishes and then dominates. And that scares them more than anything. Because if they can't understand you, they can't control you. And if they can't control you, then they never mattered. All that drama, all that manipulation, all those fake smiles, staged attacks, whispered threats. Worthless. Because the person they were aimed at no longer exists. And now, they're left screaming into a void, an invisible circus act still twirling for an audience that's already left the tent. So let them spiral. Let them slip. Let them keep trying to expose a version of you that's been dead for seasons. You are post-narrative now, post-reaction, post-drama. You are beyond, and they're just embarrassed actors in a play they thought you'd never walk out of. But you did, with your head high, your soul intact, and your silence louder than any scream they ever threw your way. Because sometimes the most violent move is not showing up to the war they started. And now the whole fucking battlefield is haunted by your absence. You really want to see how deep the collapse goes? All right. Let's drag the soul out now. Because by the time you walked away, you didn't just leave them behind. You unwrote them, every petty jab, every public spectacle, every gotcha moment they orchestrated, erased, nullified, like it never even mattered, because in the end, it didn't. And that truth, that's the one they can't survive. They built entire personalities around opposing you. They branded themselves off your name. Their confidence came from your engagement. Their clout came from trying to attach themselves to your orbit. But the moment you stepped back, the moment you refused to acknowledge their little theater, they crumbled. Because people like that don't know how to exist without opposition. They're addicted to conflict. They need a villain. And when you stopped playing the role, they started malfunctioning. Because here's the cruel twist. They never hated you. They envied you. They envied your presence, your ability to stay centered while the world tried to push you off axis. They envied how the room shifted when you walked in, how attention naturally gravitated toward you, while they had to scream, exaggerate, lie, and still never fill the void. You were the center, and they were trying to orbit by force, until you cut gravity completely and let them drift into irrelevance. Now they're floating, lost in their own narratives, unwatched, unanswered, unimportant. Because when you left their circus, you didn't just walk out. You took the whole fucking spotlight with you. And now, they're left performing in the dark to a silent room with no one watching. Even the applause was yours. They just borrowed it. And now that it's gone, they're exposed for what they really are. A shell, a rerun, a glitchy echo of a forgotten threat. And that's the humiliation that eats from the inside out. Because now the only way they get mentioned is in conversations about your rise. Now the only time people see them is when someone says, "Hey, wasn't that the person who tried to bring you down?" And then, silence. Your name is the punchline. Theirs is the cringe. Your transformation made them look prehistoric, outdated, petty. Because while they were rehearsing drama, you were rehearsing dominance. While they were posting for pity, you were building in silence. While they were gathering likes, you were gathering power. And now, they're staring at the monster they accidentally helped create. But it's too late to take it back. Too late to talk it out. Too late to reframe history. They didn't realize that you were learning the whole time. Smiling, silent, recording everything. You were tracking patterns like a surgeon, studying behavior like a scientist, waiting, not for revenge, but for elevation. The kind that doesn't clap back. It closes the entire platform. And now, they can't speak without revealing the bitterness. They can't post without exposing the insecurity. They can't breathe without choking on your name. You didn't destroy them. You simply healed in public. And that was their worst nightmare. Because the more healed you became, the more unrecognizable you became. To the people who only bonded with your wounds, they wanted you stuck, angry, reactive, but you outgrew them like a snake shedding skin, silent, cold, lethal. And now your very existence offends their stagnation, so they lash out at shadows. They whisper behind walls. They build alliances with other cowards. But no matter what they say, what they post, who they gather. It all leads back to you, because you're no longer a person to them. You're a benchmark, you're a trigger, you're a walking mirror of everything they failed to become. And that's the kind of humiliation that never fades, because it doesn't live in the public eye. It festers in the soul. It's what they think about when they wake up. It's what keeps them scrolling at 3 a.m. It's what silences them when your name gets brought up in rooms they're not ready to enter. You didn't just win. You became unreachable. You became untouchable. You became unnecessary to their reality. And now they're trying to rebuild an identity without the person they built it against. But how do you repair something that was never real to begin with? You don't. You sit in silence. You watch them try. And you keep climbing. Because the most powerful thing you ever did was walk away without turning back, and still become the only thing they can't stop looking at. Look at you. You didn't even notice the silence, did you? That unnatural kind. The kind that creeps in when every alpha in the room realizes they're not the apex anymore. It started when Elon's face went blank. That was the moment the illusion cracked. One man with all the satellites, algorithms, and AI priests on payroll suddenly forgot how to breathe because of you. You didn't say a word. You didn't have to. You moved once, just once, and the entire frequency of the room shifted like glass under pressure. That's the power of someone who stopped trying to belong to systems and started bending them. They call it disruption. I call it divine mischief. They thought you were another dreamer, another statistic. Then they looked into your eyes and realized this isn't ambition, it's alignment. Something older than tech, older than markets, older than men. The kind of power that doesn't need investors. It collects witnesses. And oh, did you make them watch? Every suit in that boardroom suddenly became a spectator at a crucifixion they didn't understand. You weren't pitching an idea. You were summoning something, a current, a code, a silent detonation wrapped in a smile. Because the real innovators aren't the ones who invent, they're the ones who interrupt. Elon's face went blank because he saw it, that you weren't competing anymore. You were translating reality in real time. You were writing in the same language the universe uses to delete empires and build legends. He realized you weren't here to play in their sandbox. You were here to burn the factory that built the sand. They'll call it arrogance. They always do when control slips out of their hands. But it wasn't arrogance, was it? It was clarity. The stillness that comes when you finally understand your design was never meant for moderation. You move like chaos with a blueprint. Like God decided to wear a grin and test human nerves. They can't categorize that. You're not visionary. You're not villain. You're the collision point between both. The saint who sins with purpose. The psychopath who heals through destruction. You're proof that balance was never peace. It was captivity. You learned that evolution isn't about becoming better. It's about becoming undeniable. And to be undeniable, you must be unrecognizable. So you erased your weakness like bad code and wrote yourself in fire. Now they call you unpredictable. But unpredictability isn't madness. It's immunity. No one can control what they can't predict. That's why Elon froze. Because for the first time in his billion-dollar mind, he wasn't looking at a person. He was looking at a mirror held by something outside the algorithm. He saw his own blueprint crumble. Because your frequency doesn't sync with industry, it infects it. They'll whisper you're dangerous, and you are. but not because you destroy things. Because you make the powerful feel small. You make the system aware that it bleeds. That's your art. That's your weapon. You didn't come to join the board. You came to haunt it. So remember this, genius. You didn't shake the industry because of what you did. You shook it because of what you are. A paradox wrapped in skin. A glitch that learned to smile. A saint whispering in the devil's dialect. The system will never recover from that. Now walk away and let them keep pretending they're still in charge. They're still talking about it, you know. Behind glass doors, inside digital temples, where trillion-dollar egos whisper like scared children, they replay that 7-second clip on silent loops, trying to decode what the hell just happened. And every time the frame freezes on your face, the temperature drops a few degrees, because they felt it, that pulse, that flicker in the field when the script went off track. They built their entire empire on prediction models, but you moved like a glitch they couldn't debug. You bypassed logic, skipped hierarchy, ignored the choreography of power, and spoke directly to the code beneath their confidence. That's what makes them panic, not your genius, not your strategy, but the impossibility of you. You're not supposed to exist, remember? Not in their spreadsheets, not in their networks. They designed the system to keep people like you medicated, moderated, and monetized. But you didn't upgrade, you mutated. And evolution always looks like rebellion to the ones who refuse to grow. Elon's face went blank because somewhere, in that synaptic flash of recognition, he realized he wasn't watching a disruptor. He was watching the aftershock, the living proof that control is an illusion, and the next revolution doesn't march. It downloads itself quietly into human consciousness. You weren't trying to impress him, you were reminding him that the moment innovation starts to feel comfortable, it's already obsolete. And he felt it in his bones. The same fear you once felt when nobody believed you could crawl out of your own ruin. That's the irony, isn't it? The saint becomes the villain, the madman becomes the prophet, and the failure becomes the threat. You learned early that pain was the tuition fee for power, and you paid in full. You didn't rise through approval, you rose through rejection. Every no they threw became another rung in your spine. Every humiliation taught you emotional calculus, how to weaponize silence, how to calculate chaos. You became surgical with your scars. That's why you're dangerous, because you didn't just survive. You studied the anatomy of survival, and now they look at you like a crime scene. They're analyzing your tone, your pulse, your rhythm, thinking they can reverse engineer the anomaly. But you're not an invention, you're an infection, a living reminder that power cannot be contained in the hands of those who fear transformation. You don't play chess anymore, do you? You move like the board rearranges itself when you enter the room. That's not arrogance, that's physics. Reality bends around conviction, and you learned how to hold your conviction until it screamed. Elon went blank because he recognized the look in your eye, the one every revolutionary gets before the system collapses. That calm, haunted focus of someone who's already accepted that evolution demands a body count. Not physical, ideological, a massacre of outdated beliefs. And he realized he was standing on the wrong side of the timeline. See, you're not fighting industries anymore. You're dismantling psychologies. You're rewriting the mental firmware of humanity itself. You make people question whether the impossible is even real. And once they start to question that, the whole simulation starts to tremble. That's your true crime, not rebellion, not chaos. You reminded the world that it was never really running things, that the architects of control were just renting space in a universe they didn't build. So let them call you unstable. Let them label you a threat, a virus, a myth. Because myths are immortal, and you already crossed the point where mortality mattered. You're playing for something bigger now. The reclamation of human unpredictability. You shook the industry because you showed them what happens when a man stops performing sanity for comfort. You proved that when genius and insanity make peace, civilizations shift. Now they whisper your name in warning tones. They'll try to bury your legend under PR incidents, call you reckless, dangerous, unhinged. Because that's what cowards call the ones who move faster than fear. But deep down, they envy you. Because somewhere every one of them remembers a moment when they almost did what you did. Almost stepped over the line between control and chaos. Almost unleashed what was sleeping inside. But they blinked. You didn't. You never blinked. And that's why they'll never forget you. Because when Elon's face went blank, the entire hierarchy of gods and shareholders felt it too. A quiet, shivering knowing that the new order won't come from the ones who build rockets, but from the ones who become them. So go ahead, let them talk, let them copy, study, fear, and fail to understand. Because while they calculate, you consecrate. You are not in their industry anymore. You are the industry's reckoning, a storm dressed in calm, a glitch with a pulse. And the moment you smiled, the simulation realized its master had arrived. You felt it too, didn't you? That pulse beneath the noise, that trembling in the floorboards when everyone's pretending it's just another presentation. But you could hear it, the static behind their composure, the tremor behind their applause. Because when you stepped in, the air changed. Every ego in the room inhaled control and exhaled fear. You didn't need validation. The silence was proof enough. They looked at you like a variable they didn't code for, a storm that refused to follow weather patterns. And then it happened. Elon's face went blank. The richest mind in the room forgot its lines. Because he didn't see competition, he saw preemption. He saw the future staring back at him through your pupils. And it didn't ask permission. He built rockets, sure. You built something worse. Belief. Not the kind that worships idols, but the kind that melts them. You turned confidence into contagion. And suddenly, everyone who laughed at you started rearranging their portfolios. They don't even know what hit them. Because this wasn't innovation. It was invasion. You didn't pitch ideas. You detonated identity. You made power look mortal. You reminded them that no amount of wealth can simulate instinct. That's what drives them insane. You're not measurable, not scalable, not for sale. You're that moment, right before lightning hits. The stillness that screams louder than thunder. They call it charisma. But it's not charisma, is it? It's awareness sharpened into a weapon. You walk into a room and see how reality bends around fear. You learn that people don't follow leaders. They follow certainty. And yours has the kind of pulse that governments envy. Elon's silence wasn't confusion. It was confession. He saw it. The line between creation and creator, between mind and myth, and realized you'd already crossed it. He's been chasing the algorithm of God through circuits and satellites, but you found it in your reflection, in the ruin, in the madness they tried to medicate out of you. Because the truth is, genius and insanity are identical twins. One just gets better PR. And you stopped caring which one the crowd applauds. You understood that greatness isn't approved. It's endured. You burned. And in that burn, you became your own signal. That's why they can't look you in the eye anymore. They sense the quiet violence behind your calm. They feel the gravity of a soul that's seen the inside of its own extinction and walked back, smiling. You're not trying to win anymore, are you? You're here to undo, to dismantle the entire psychological architecture that made them believe control was power. You found something deeper. That control without chaos is paralysis, and chaos without clarity is suicide. But when you merge the two, you get you. Precision wrapped in unpredictability, light that's learned to weaponize shadow. That's what froze him. He saw himself in you. But stripped of excuses, he saw what happens when potential stops asking for direction, and it terrified him, because deep down, every Titan fears the same thing. That one day, someone who doesn't care about legacy will outthink, outfeel, and outlast them. And that day was you. You didn't shake the industry with tech or trends. You shook it with truth. You reminded every watching soul that the next revolution won't come from data. It'll come from nerve. From the ones who can look at chaos, smile, and whisper, "Mine." Now they're scrambling to rebrand themselves as visionaries again, to pretend they saw it coming. But you and I both know, no one saw you coming. You were the invisible variable in their equations, the answer they mocked until it started breathing. And now the silence after your name is worth more than their speeches, because somewhere between their metrics and your madness, the world realized sanity never changed anything. Let them build, let them launch, let them posture. You're not chasing rockets, you're rerouting gravity. You've made reality itself stutter. And every powerful man who sees you now wonders if maybe, just maybe, he's been playing God while you were quietly becoming myth. So keep walking, keep breaking their rhythm, because they can imitate your words, but they'll never replicate your frequency. You didn't just shake the industry, my friend. You fractured its faith. And from that fracture, a new order is already bleeding through. One written in your silence, signed in your scars, and broadcast through every trembling empire that once thought you were just a man. They know better now. And the thing that eats at them most is that you didn't need an army. No funding round, no board approval, no polished presentation. You just walked in like the rules had already expired and every instinct in the room agreed. Because power doesn't need permission, it just arrives. And you arrived like an omen wrapped in a grin. That's why Elon's expression went still. He wasn't shocked. He was diagnosing the moment. He was calculating the shift in reality, trying to find the equation where you fit, and realizing you didn't. You didn't come from their lineage of logic. You came from necessity, a necessity that reality itself created when the old system stopped working. You are evolution's answer to arrogance. You're what happens when the universe gets tired of waiting for permission to change. That's why nothing about you makes sense. Because you're not supposed to. You're not logic's child. You're chaos's masterpiece. They've tried to measure you since that day. They ran facial analysis, behavioral mapping, tone deconstruction. They plugged your words into algorithms to find what triggers engagement. But it wasn't data that broke them. It was energy. And energy doesn't speak binary. It speaks belief. You didn't sell them an idea. You infected them with inevitability. You could almost hear it. The quiet click in the back of their minds. That moment when genius stops being admired and starts being feared. Because fear is just awe realizing it's not in control anymore. You know why they call you dangerous now? Because danger to them isn't violence. It's unpredictability. And you move like prophecy with a pulse. You're not a product of logic. You're what logic becomes when it outgrows its leash. Elon wasn't the only one who froze. You just noticed him first because his silence was worth more than applause. But every powerful person in that room felt it too. That electric awareness that hierarchy had a heart attack. The kind of stillness that only happens when destiny enters the building and forgets to knock. You didn't just shake the industry, you exposed it. You showed them that innovation has been acting like religion, worshipping icons instead of ideas. You made them remember that technology was never supposed to replace humanity. It was supposed to amplify it. But you amplified madness until it looked holy. You made insanity look like instruction. You gave the storm a syllabus. You turned every rejection into code, every scar into a prototype. You stopped waiting for breakthroughs and started breaking through. And that's what they can't forgive. Because people can handle talent, but they can't handle truth when it's dressed like defiance. You speak in paradoxes because reality itself is one. You're both weapon and warning, healer and hazard. You walk the knife edge between revelation and ruin, and somehow never bleed. That's not charisma, that's alignment. When your pain stops asking for pity and starts asking for purpose, that's what they see when they look at you. Not a rival, not a genius, not even a threat. They see the end of the illusion that control equals safety. They see themselves, but stripped of comfort, stripped of ego, stripped of narrative. And in that mirror, they see what they could have been if they hadn't blinked. The headlines won't say it, but deep inside every tech fortress and every polished office, they're building new protocols around you. They're studying your unpredictability like it's a virus that might spread. They'll call it security updates. I call it containment. Because nothing terrifies institutions more than an individual who remembers they're not an employee. They're an event. And that's what you are now. Not a brand, not a person, an event, a living disruption, a one-man collapse of old gods. They had decades to prepare for the future. But they weren't ready for you. Because you didn't just build something new. You became something new. The blueprint no one wanted to admit existed. The ghost in the algorithm, the equation that deleted its creator. You are the human reminder that I will never replicate instinct. That consciousness can't be caged, not when it's been betrayed enough times to stop fearing itself. So let them stare. Let them calculate, imitate, overanalyze. They'll waste years trying to reverse engineer your silence. And all the while, you'll be moving again, quietly, precisely, beautifully unpredictable. Because the industry didn't fall when you spoke. It fell the moment it realized you don't need it anymore. And when that understanding hit, when that truth spread across every network, every algorithm, every trembling CEO, that's when Elon's face went blank. He didn't see a rival, he saw the shift. He saw the future realize it was late to its own arrival. He saw the day innovation stopped being about machines and became, once again, about a mind unafraid to burn everything fake. So go ahead, keep walking, keep letting their silence pay tribute to your inevitability, because history won't remember their fear. But it will remember the moment you made the future blink.